Hey guys, this is Alexandra from iloveknots.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my Bobblish Scarf. That is a bobble stitch scarf. I already made the entire scarf, so I'm just going to be showing you a sample of it today. This is the front of the scarf, and the bobbles are staggered. This is what the back of the scarf looks like. It's completely flat. For my scarf, I used Red Heart Super Saver in the color Buff Fleck. Since gauge isn't essential unless the finished size is essential to you, you can use whatever worsted weight yarn you like. You could even switch it out for a chunky weight yarn to make a oversized super scarf. It's very easy to customize the length as you go as well, so you can always stop if you reach your desired size or keep adding if you want a longer scarf. I'm also using an H8 5mm crochet hook. I'm going to start with a slip knot. I'm pulling my working yarn over my fingers here, wrapping the yarn around my index finger 2 times, and then I'll hold the tension in between my middle finger and my thumb. I'll grab the loop that's on the left, pull it up over the other loop but not off my finger. Then I grab the loop that's on the left now, pull it up over the other one and off my finger. I'll take my crochet hook, insert it into the loop that's on my finger, and then you can take the yarn that's coming from the ball, hold that in your right hand, pull on the short tail end, and it will tighten your slip knot up to normal tension. Now that we have our slip knot here, we're going to chain a foundation chain, and this is going to vary depending on the size that you want. So if you are making a toddler size scarf, you're going to chain 16, and if you're making a child size scarf, you're going to chain 20. You can make this more narrow or wider by subtracting or adding a multiple of 4. Since I already worked my scarf, I'm going to just make a small sample. I'm going to start with a chain 8. To chain, we're going to yarn over and pull through the loop on our hook. Yarn over, pull through the loop on our hook. So that's 2 chains. Go ahead and chain either your 16 or your 20. Now we have our foundation chain done. We're going to go ahead and single crochet into the second chain and each chain across. So we don't count this loop that's on our hook. Here's our first chain and here's our second chain. Insert directly into the center. Yarn over, pull through that loop. We have 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops. Insert your hook into the center of the next chain. Yarn over, pull through. There are 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops. We're going to continue doing this all the way across. At the end of your row, for a toddler size, you're going to have 15 stitches. And for a child size, you're going to have 19 stitches. For row 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn. This is where we start our bobbles. We're going to work 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Insert your hook into that stitch, picking up both loops from that stitch on your hook. Yarn over, pull through. 2 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through both loops. We're going to single crochet into the next 2 stitches as well. And here's where our repeat starts. We're going to bobble stitch into the next single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet into each of the next 3 single crochets. And you'll continue working that repeat as long as you have stitches left. bobble stitch into the next stitch, single crochet into the next 3. To work a bobble stitch, we're going to work all of the following into the same stitch. We're going to start by yarning over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through. There are 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and now we have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to repeat that again, yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull through. Right now there are 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and now we have 3 loops on our hook. We want 5 loops on our hook in total. Yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull through. Right now there are 5 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we have 4 loops, so we'll do that one more time. Yarn over, insert into the stitch, yarn over, pull through. We have 6 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we have 5 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 5. That is the bobble, and as soon as you start working the single crochets, it'll take its form. So I'll just insert my hook into the next single crochet and single crochet as normal into the next 3 stitches. And this is what it looks from the front. As soon as you work that first single crochet after the bobble, it automatically takes its shape because it's a smaller stitch. And you'll continue working that repeat across, bobble stitch into the next stitch, single crochet into the next 3. When you've reached the end of the row, we'll start row 3. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Now we're just going to single crochet across the row. Insert our hook into the first stitch and single crochet as normal, and then just continue single crocheting all the way across. When you get to the bobble stitch, it's just going to have 1 stitch. That's when we did our final pull through. It just left us with 1 stitch there, so you just single crochet into it. For row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And this is another bobble row. It's going to be staggered in between that previous bobble row. So I'm going to start with 1 single crochet into the first stitch. And now I'm going to bobble into the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull through. There are 3 loops on the hook right now. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops. That leaves us with 2 loops. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we have 3. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now we have 4. And we'll do that one more time. Yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. We have 5 loops on our hook now. Perfect. Yarn over, pull through all 5 loops. Bobble stitch is complete. Now we're going to single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And then as soon as you work that first single crochet, that's what gives the bobble its shape. So we've worked single crochet into the first stitch, bobble stitch into the next stitch, single crochet into the next 3 stitches. That is the same repeat that we had from before. The only difference is that it's a little bit backwards now because we're doing the staggered stitching. Instead, before the repeat was bobble stitch and then work 3 single crochets. The other repeat is work 3 single crochets and then bobble stitch, and that will leave you at the end with just 1 stitch open. So we're going to bobble into the next stitch, I have 5 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 5. You're going to continue working the repeat of single crochet into the next 3 stitches and then bobble stitch until you have just 1 stitch left. And once you reach that point, we're just going to single crochet into that stitch, and row 4 is complete. Then we'll chain 1 and turn. Row 5 is going to be a single crochet row across again, so we're just going to single crochet into our first stitch here, and then continue single crocheting into each stitch all the way across. And remember, for your bobble stitches, you're just working 1 stitch into it. That's all there is on the top there. And row 5 is complete. This is what our repeat is going to be for the whole entire scarf. You'll repeat row 2, which is a bobble row, row 3, which is a single crochet row, row 4, which is a bobble row, and row 5, which is a single crochet row. And when you get to the end of the scarf, you're going to end it on either a row 2 or a row 4, so that the border can be worked on the right side of the scarf. The right side is the side that's facing us where the bobbles are facing us, and the wrong side is the flat side. So we want to end on a row that has bobbles. That way, when we turn it to the right side, instead of working just a row single crochet across, we're going to actually work the border all the way around the scarf. So I'm going to go over this repeat with you one more time. We're going to do rows 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are the repeats you're going to do throughout the whole entire scarf. So let's start our repeat. We're going to chain 1 and turn. The first bobble row is going to be single crochet into the first 3 single crochets. Then we're going to bobble stitch into the next stitch, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Continue that process until you have 5 loops on your hook. Now that I have 5 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 5 stitches. And then I'm going to single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And the repeat for this row is bobble stitch into the next stitch, single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And when you finish this row, you're going to end on those 3 single crochets. Then we chain 1 and turn. Now we're going to single crochet all the way across. Then we'll chain 1 and turn. We're going to work the second row of bobble stitches now. Single crochet into the first stitch. Then we'll bobble stitch into the next. Now I have 5 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 5. Then single crochet into the next 3 stitches. Next we'll bobble stitch. I have 5 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 5. Your repeat for this row is going to be single crochet into the next 3 stitches, bobble stitch into the next stitch. When you get to the end of the row, you're going to have just one stitch left, and in that stitch you'll single crochet. For the next row, we'll chain 1, turn, and single crochet all the way across. I'm pulling up a loop just so I don't lose it. Now you'll just continue working that repeat of row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5. For a toddler size scarf, you're going to work 132 rows. For a child size scarf, you're going to work 192 rows. And you'll either be ending on a row 2 or a row 4. That way we can work the border from the right side. So go ahead and work your scarf, and when you're ready, come back and I'll show you how to work the border. Now it's time to work the border. I have just finished working a row 4 repeat here. When we do the border, we want to end on either a row 2 or a row 4 so that the border can be worked from the right side. So I've just finished here a row 4. This is my sample from the adult size scarf. That's why the stitches look a little bit different. But the borders worked exactly the same way. To start the border, we're going to single crochet into each stitch across the row here. And as I reach that last stitch, I'm working 1 single crochet into it as normal. So I've just single crocheted all the way across the row as normal. Now I'm going to add extra stitches into this last stitch to increase. We need to increase our corners so that the fabric lays flat, otherwise it curls. So to work the corner, we have our first single crochet there, then we chain 2, and single crochet back into that same exact stitch. And by adding those chains and that extra stitch, we've increased in that corner. Now we're going to rotate our fabric so we can work down the side. And when we work into these rows here, you're going to work 1 single crochet into the side edge of each row. And you're going to see 2 different types of stitches here. You're going to see this next one, which kind of looks like the top of a stitch. It's got the bottom leg down here, it's got the top leg up here, and from the top you can see that V shape. And then the next one is just this hole. And that repeats all the way across, and that's from when we turned at the end of each row. So for this next one, we're going to insert our hook into the center of that stitch, picking up 2 loops. Here's 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops as normal. Then for the next one, we just insert our hook into that hole and complete a single crochet. Then the next one, we insert into the center of that edge stitch, picking up both loops there, and complete a single crochet. And then for the next one, just insert into the hole and complete a single crochet. We're going to continue working all the way across. When you get to the end of the row, not counting the very last stitch or this beginning increase, we're going to have 2 stitches less than the number of total rows that you have. So take the total number of rows that you worked minus 2 stitches for the corners, and that's how many stitches you should have down the side. And now that I have reached the very last stitch there, I'm going to increase again in this corner stitch. And to increase, we're just going to single crochet into that stitch, chain 2, single crochet back into that same stitch. And for this particular one, it's where our beginning tail is, and the hole opens up because it's not secure yet. Just hold your fabric and pull it closed. And when we weave it in, that's when it'll actually be secured in there. And we're going to rotate our fabric so we can work on the opposite side of the beginning foundation chain. And when you're working here, it's very similar to working in the top. You just insert into the next stitch. It's very easy to see. And I'm pulling my beginning tail to the back. I'm not working over it because I don't want it to be weaved in horizontally. I want it to be weaved in vertically. So I'm just dropping it. I'm not stitching over it. I'm going to sew it in later. Work single crochet as normal in each stitch all the way across here. And when you insert your hook into the chain, you're inserting it into the center, and it's picking up one leg from the next stitch and one leg from the stitch that's above your chain. But just single crochet across the row as it naturally feels. And now we've reached another corner. We're going to increase again. So single crochet into that stitch, chain 2, single crochet back into the same stitch, and then we'll rotate our fabric and work up the side. This is the last row of the border. The stitches look a little bit different on this side than they did on the other side. And that's because we're looking at, we still have one stitch that looks like a hole, and then we have one stitch that kind of looks like the other one, except it's from the back side. So the very first stitch we're going to see here is a hole. We're going to single crochet into that. The next one will be one that looks like a stitch, and you're just going to insert it right into the center. You have your bottom leg down here, your back bump here, and your top leg up there. Just insert into the center, in between the back bump and the bottom leg, and you're still going to be picking up 2 stitches on your hook. Yarn over and complete your single crochet. Then the next one is just a hole, and then the next one looks like a stitch, so we'll just insert it right into the center, picking up both loops that are on the top on my hook, and complete a single crochet. And you're just going to continue working all the way up. You're going to have the same number of stitches on this side as you did on the first side. And then when we get to the very first stitch up here, we're going to work 1 single crochet into that same stitch, chain 1, not chain 2 here, just chain 1 because our join counts as a chain. Then we insert our hook into that very first stitch, picking up both loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through that stitch and the loop that's on our hook. That is a slip stitch join. And now we can fasten off. To weave in my ends, I'm going to need a tapestry needle. I have pulled up a big loop here so that I don't lose that stitch. And then I'm just going to fasten off this yarn here so that I can sew it in. If my scissors will cut. Then I'm going to take that loop and pull it up so that it breaks the loop. And I'll thread that end into my tapestry needle. This is the yarn that we fastened off at the end. I'm just going to insert my hook into that first stitch that we slip stitched to. Insert it underneath both loops and pull the needle out through the back side, because that's where I'm going to weave in my ends, on the back side. Then I'll flip it over. And I'm going to weave vertically here. I don't weave horizontally in this case because it will bunch up the fabric and restrict any width-wise stretch. But if I weave it here vertically, it won't have an effect on it. So I'm going to insert my hook into a nearby stitch. And when I do that, I'm not going to pick up the whole entire stitch. This is picking up the whole stitch. I don't want to pick up the whole stitch. I want to break the stitch in half by inserting into the center of it. And this is going to help catch my yarn so that it's more secured. Then I'm going to weave under several stitches, and when I come out, I'm also going to break that stitch in half. And then I'll pull through. And I don't want to pull too tight because it will distort the shape up here on the top, so I'm going to just use my fingers to pull it out and take the shape that I want. Then I'll go back to the wrong side, and I'm going to flip it so I can work a return pass. I'm going to insert into a nearby stitch. I always break it in half on when I insert it and when I exit. So I'm breaking it in half. I'm going underneath the same stitches that I just worked, and then I'm coming out on the other side. And I'll pull through. And I work 3 passes. That's the number that I'm most comfortable with. So I'm going to rotate it again, insert into a nearby stitch under the same stitches I just worked, and come out on the other side. And then I'll just tug on it to take its shape, and then I'll fasten off that yarn. Guess I need some new scissors. Then we'll go down to this bottom one. This is our initial tail end. Thread that tail end into my tapestry needle. And I'm also going to weave this end in vertically. Just go into a nearby stitch, breaking it in half, work up several stitches, breaking the other side in half as well. And I'll work 3 passes the same way. And I always use my fingers to pull out the shape. I don't want it to bunch up and take a weird shape. There's my 3rd pass, and now I can fasten that off. And that's how you weave in the ends. And now here we have our finished scarf. You'll find the written pattern for this at iloveknots.com in 4 sizes. Thanks so much for watching my video. Please smash that like button and hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.